Imagine for a moment that your brain was a perfect recorder, capturing every sight, sound, and smell of your life with flawless resolution. Within a few months, your mind would be a cluttered mess of trivial data, the color of every passing car, or the texture of every floor you walked upon. This is why the human brain evolved to be a filter rather than a library. Our survival depends on the deliberate act of forgetting just as much as it does on remembering. At the core of this biological marvel is the hippocampus, a small, seahorse-shaped structure deep within the temporal lobe. It acts as a gatekeeper, determining which experiences are worthy of being encoded into long-term storage and which are discarded to the void. This process, known as synaptic consolidation, happens primarily while we sleep, as the brain replays the day's events, deciding which neural connections to strengthen and which to prune. When you learn a new skill or store a memory, you are physically altering the architecture of your brain. Neurons communicate via synapses, and when a memory is formed, these synapses are physically strengthened through a process called long-term potentiation, L-P. Essentially, your brain is building a unique electrical highway that becomes easier to travel the more often you revisit that specific thought or piece of information. However, the fragility of memory becomes apparent when we look at reconsolidation. Every time you retrieve a memory, you aren't playing back a video file, you are reconstructing it from scratch. In that moment of reconstruction, the memory is unstable and prone to distortion. We often rewrite our own history without realizing it, blending present emotions with past events, effectively changing who we were to fit who we are today. Why, then, do we suffer from the persistence of traumatic memories or the phantom pain of nostalgia? Neuroscience suggests that emotional intensity serves as a biological marker for importance. When the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, is highly active during an event, it screams to the hippocampus that this moment is vital for future survival, ensuring the memory is seared into your consciousness with high-fidelity detail. The modern age presents a unique challenge to this ancient machinery. We are currently living through an era of extreme sensory overload, bombarding our neural pathways with microdoses of information. This fragmentation disrupts the focus required for deep consolidation, essentially training our brains to prioritize short-term processing over deep-rooted knowledge, which may be why we feel a collective sense of cognitive burnout in the digital age. Looking toward the future, researchers are now exploring the possibility of artificial memory augmentation. Through optogenetics, using light to control neurons, scientists have successfully implanted false memories into the brains of lab animals. This raises the haunting question: if we can artificially stimulate the synapses that store our personal history, where does the boundary between biological reality and manufactured experience actually reside? Ultimately, memory is not a static representation of the past, but an active, living tool used to navigate an unpredictable future. By understanding the fluid nature of our own minds, we can learn to forgive our own forgetfulness and appreciate the selective beauty of our mental lives. Your past is not a fixed record, but a fluid masterpiece that you are rewriting every single day.